Hi everybody, it's Erin Scott here. So let's take a look at the month of September. We're actually starting with this Virgo new moon, which is happening today, the day I'm recording this, which is Friday, 30th of August. Okay? And I'm recording now at around 9 a.m. And we actually had the exact point of our new moon happen this morning, Eastern time, at 6:37 a.m. All right, but these energies are active. They're active not only today, not only certainly for the week ahead, but we're definitely talking for the month ahead. Why? Because it's a new moon cycle, and every new moon cycle is a natural new seeding point for an energetic narrative, naturally. So it's certainly, we're talking about the month ahead. And now we're at a point where the new moons are correlating with the month, the calendar month. So this is quite good. It's appropriate. It's aligned. There's some sort of a natural alignment for human cultural timing and how we relate to a month and the cycle of the moon. So when I first began doing my alchemy scopes many years ago, it was always correlated with the new moon cycle. So it's interesting because now we're coming back to a correlated time frame, and we've been moving back toward that way. So with that being said, I'm going to start looking at the month ahead by looking at this moon. All right. Now, there's a couple things to say. We're going to also look at the month ahead. I have a calendar that I'm going to pull up for you. And then pieces want to come through, so that'll come up throughout the video. But this will be relatively brief. We're going to look at these energies today. With regards to this Virgo new moon, you can see this is an Eastern chart. So this is for New York time, US, right? You can see here that we have this 9-degree ascendant in Virgo. And we have this grouping of planets here in Virgo, all right here, right? So we have Mercury now at 2 degrees Virgo. We have Juno, the asteroid, at 2 degrees Virgo. We have the moon and the sun at 6 degrees 47 minutes. So that's the new moon point, 6:47. Here we have Mars at 7 degrees, part of fortune here at the ascendant point. So whenever the sun and moon are conjunct at a new moon point every month, the part of fortune, which is a calculated point, is always at the ascendant point. When we're talking about a full moon chart, the part of fortune is always at the descendant point, right? And I just want to point out the beauty of that. Now, for those of you familiar with astrology, of course, the part of fortune is not a planet, not an asteroid. It's calculated. It's mathematically a computation of sun, moon, and ascendant locations, right? But the beauty of it is that the symbolic function of the part of fortune, traditionally it's known as the part of good luck, but really what we're talking about here is a flow point, a natural point of flow, a natural point of energetic dynamic, a natural point of bliss. So this part of fortune is simply, excuse me, energetic flow. And it's quite fascinating if you think about it, right? Because the part of fortune landing on the ascendant point, which it always does, no matter, by the way, where you are located in the world, the part of fortune, sun, moon, will show up at the ascendant point. We happen to be looking at an Eastern US chart. But if you're in the UK, if you're on the Pacific coast, doesn't matter. You're always going to find the part of fortune here, okay? This particular one is at a 9-degree Virgo point, which is interesting. It's a spiritual number, and it's certainly about stepping up and attending to the lessons at hand, but that's another conversation perhaps. But anyway, the point for me to share with you right now is that the part of fortune at the ascendant is rather brilliant, because what it indicates at the new moon point is that the point of flow is all about the ascendant. The function of the ascendant is your perspective and your approach to life. It's the filter through which you see and approach life. It's the glasses that you're wearing, okay? So why is that important? Well, Sun, moon together, inner, outer, alignment. It's a natural alignment point. And so a new seating point of alignment is dependent on your perspective. It's all about the mind, everybody. It's all about the mind. Not the thinking mind, not the physical mind, but the psyche. Okay? It's all about how you utilize the functionality of the mind in navigating your particular distinct blueprint in its optimal alignment as you approach life, as you approach your own life and the context of the greater world. Okay? So I just want to point that out because it's nature's perfect alignment. New seating point at the new moon for your perspective, for your approach, the story that you can bring, the story of who you are in your natural alignment. It's not about you being anybody other than who you naturally are. Here at the full moon point, when the part of fortune is at the descendant is the other. It's relationships. So the interesting thing with the full moon is the descendant looks at the ascendant. The ascendant is the self. The descendant is the other. At the full moon point, where is the natural flow? The other. And the other impacts us in one way. That's why the full moon point with the part of fortune here, there's some receipt or something that's seen by us as an individual that's happening in our relationship dynamics, in our context of reality. Anyway, we can talk more about that another time, but that's just beauty, right? But the wonderful thing about this chart is that there's a stellium of planet and point here in Virgo. Virgo ruled by Mercury, the mind. And Virgo, as you all know, is about health, wholeness, healing. Virgo is about the functionality and health and efficiency of all of the parts of any whole system so that the whole can operate maximally, naturally. Parts and whole. And Virgo is also about physical reality, everybody. Okay, so the theme for the month ahead is Virgo. Virgo is about health, wholeness, and healing. It's about getting to work and attending to the logistical details, putting in the blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, now Virgo is here. So attending to the details of the feminine, attending to the details of finances and money, attending to the details of beauty and issues of love and self-love. Why? Well, number one, because Venus rules our ethic, our values, and our sense of self. How do we love and value the self? How do we love and value the self? Okay? And what is it that we love and value? Well, here there's some discernment in Virgo that's called putting the work into that which you value. That's what's activated this month for all of us. Putting the work into what you value, okay? That all being said, we have an 11 degree here. So at the point of this Virgo new moon here, happening at the exact point on the 30th of August, beginning the journey into September, 11 degrees Venus. 11 is about enlightenment, and it's about being a role model. It's certainly about kind of embodiment of a higher iteration of consciousness. So the interesting thing is, indeed, the feminine needs to rise. The feminine is rising. Beauty, love, and ethic, ethos is rising naturally at this moon. And if we look, we have 9/11. 9/11. And what you're going to see here, and I have to tell you this, I actually didn't consciously see this. I didn't consciously put this together before I made this calendar. But when we look at this calendar, you're going to see that I'm not hosting it live per se, But what I'm recommending to all of us is that every Sunday throughout the month of September and beyond, this will be throughout the rest of 2019, okay, that we step into a consciousness field together for a global meditation wave at 9:11 a.m. every Sunday. So I'm going to talk more about that, but I have to tell you, I didn't consciously put that together until now. So there's just simple perfection. 9/11, as again most of you know, in the common narrative, in the common lexicon, 9/11 refers to September 11th, 2001. In the spiritual lexicon, and certainly connected to the 9/11 2001 events, 9/11 brings a certain urgency to the plate. 9/11 is spiritual enlightenment, spiritual modeling. It's not about being a guru or something that you're not. It's about stepping up yourself to be the fullest you can be. 9/11 does indicate urgency, and the world as we know it is going through a period of great shift and change and evolutionary process exponentially with every hour that passes, okay? So let's move on a little bit, but yes, indeed, 9/11. Disciplined and discerning mind and actions when it comes to our ethic, our value system. Women, embodied women in this physical life here on earth need to step up as well. There's a new level of urgency with regards to women stepping up in whatever role their distinct natal blueprint is aligned with. So think about it, meditate upon it, be in touch for a natal analysis if called. But it's time. It's simply time. There's no more time to waste, no more procrastination to indulge in. Now's the time. That being said, we also have Mars here, everybody. At this new moon, Mars is at 7 degrees Virgo. 7 is the great mysteries. It's the unknown. It's the unknowable. It's the magic of life. 7 chakras, 7 days in the week, lots of sevens that are part of the generalized narrative here. But certainly it is considered a spiritual number in that it brings mystery, some of which is known, some of which is unknown. You know, 6, where the sun and moon is kind of this balanced harmonic of spirit and matter. But it's the embodied human. Mars at 7, 7 is 1 in addition to the 6. So there's something else, there's something unknown, there's something veiled, there's something in the consciousness field. There are organizing principles at play that we know or don't know, that we can recognize or will never be able to fully recognize. That's 7. 7 implies an allowance to the life process without having to know it, because we cannot know everything. Not everything is provable, period. The kind of mind, the infantile human mind that insists that everything is provable and that nothing can happen without proof is just, that's insanity. Pure insanity. Okay? Now, Mercury and Juno. Juno is about relationship. You know, this is the wife of Jupiter. But it certainly speaks to, when we're talking about a chart, Juno speaks to where we're unconditionally committed. So the interesting thing is, Juno is conjunct Mercury at 2 degrees. 2 is about peace and harmony. So there's a commitment to communication. Certainly, I am experiencing that. I feel more committed to getting back to work with things that might be of service to folks, okay? I think a lot of people are feeling that call, okay? To not do it for the ego. Now you're looking at all of these as they hit, you know, the glyph of Leo here, but you have to understand that all of these planets are here in Virgo. They're all right here, okay? So with regards to all of this, there's a lot of energy with regards to getting to work and bringing things into healthful, natural balance, making sure that the parts are healthy. Okay? Now, you can see that there is this quincunx relationship between Virgo and Chiron here now at 4 degrees Aries. It's going retrograde. It's in the 7th house of relationships here in this particular chart. And the quincunx is an uncomfortable relationship. There's dissonance here. There's a crisis activation here. So the interesting thing is there's some insecurities, some vulnerabilities with regards to the individual feeling not as good as they should be or could be. So there's insecurities by the individual, Chiron and Aries, in how they interact, in how they relate, in how they connect with others. In the spiritual narrative. Why? Because the descendant here in this chart is in Pisces. Black Moon Lilith is right here. Neptune is here. And Chiron is in the same house that's Neptune ruled. And all of this is indicating that there's some insecurity with regards to delusion in relationships, delusion in communications, not knowing what's true. You know, this retrograded Neptune in this house of people, in this house of relationships, indicates that there could be more internal delusion with regards to how people are understood, how people are received. And so with regards to this Chiron that's here, there's insecurity by the individual with regards to what's true. What is true? What people say. How is this true? Is that true? A lot of insecurity here. Now, Black Moon Lilith is also here. Okay? Black Moon Lilith at the descendant line and opposed Venus ascendant. Again, ascendant in the Eastern chart, everybody. But in the generalized chart, Lilith is opposed Venus. It's also opposed Mars, and it's also opposed the Sun, Moon, Juno, and Mercury, because they're all right here. So, Lilith is the narrative, the function within any chart of where we don't feel valued, where we feel erased, where we feel denied, dishonored, disrespected. So Lilith, feeling of I am not valuable, is living on the relationship point in this area of insecurity and delusion. Now, Lilith, the archetype, is feminine. This is woman. Woman being erased from the history books. That's Lilith, okay? There's anger and rage that's underlying this because every entity matters inherently. So the devaluation of Lilith is massive, right? So Lilith opposed Venus. This is about the inherent health and value of woman being confronted by religious delusion, seemingly spiritual delusion, delusion by the guru. This is about discernment, everybody. Take every single thing you hear, including every word out of my mouth, with a grain of salt and discern with your own mind. Okay? Lilith opposed Venus. There's a battle here. There's a confrontation naturally activated with this devaluation of feminine qualities, emotionality, intuition, the feminine body. There's some stuff in the news cycles recently that's heinous. There's a new level of cruelty that abounds. It all starts with the mind. This is all consciousness, everybody. This is all symbolic story, narrative, and function. In the consciousness field, that's what we're looking at here. Yes, these are physical bodies. Black Moon Lilith is a void point. It's not a physical body. But Venus, Sun, Moon, Mars, etc., Mercury, these are physical bodies. But you have to understand, we're talking about relationship dynamics that are non-physical. Okay? We're talking about energetic dynamics with these relational dynamics, non-physical. This is non-physical. Black Moon Lilith is a void point. It's an empty point. at the opposite elliptical rotation of the moon around the earth. Okay? So literally avoid. You don't matter. You're not there. So this you don't matter narrative is really speaking to people discerning their own value system and stepping up and being a voice. Mercury, which is right here. Mercury, Venus, right? Mercury, Mars, Sun, Moon, part of fortune, Venus. Boom. This is about stepping up and having a voice. It's about getting to work. It's about discerning your mind. Please don't believe what everybody says. The level at which the masses are hypnotized, large swaths of the masses are hypnotized, that they literally parrot what leaders say, is stunning. They can't even see their own level of sheep mentality. There's a parroting that's happening which is unbelievable. So it's very important that you love yourself, you honor yourself, and you honor your own, by the way, health and healing of the physical body of who you are as well. Because the physicality throughout the month of September is going to be important. For you to value your health and healing is part of you being a proper, aligned, natural vehicle, empowered vehicle for ideas, inspiration, creativity, new relationship dynamics, new work opportunities, new clarity on your alignment, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Now, with regards to sun-moon alignment, inner and outer, the inner narrative of the self, the inner emotional foundations, and the externalized self, 6 degrees Virgo. Now, the interesting thing about this new moon, everybody, is that the Sabian symbol for this sun-moon point at 6 degrees Virgo is a harem. Now, Dane Rudyer speaks to this in detail. I won't pull up the file, but I will tell you that the harem narrative is an interesting one, right? Because what we're talking about here is, and again, this is this point of where this new beginning, new seeding, new story is happening. So with regards to sun moon at 6 to 7 degrees Virgo, a harem. So the narrative of the new seed, the new story, what wants to happen with a new level of health and discernment and clarity and attention to detail, okay, in the physical, practical life that we're living here on earth, has to do with the harem. The harem is wives and concubines, quote unquote, belonging to one man, right? So what we're talking about here is a couple of different layers of narrative. One, it is a hierarchical system. Many women, one man. Okay, that's one aspect. So it's a hierarchy. There's a new story with regards to hierarchy, okay, and with man at the top of the pyramid, a new narrative, everyone, with regards to patriarchal hierarchy, period. And then there's another layer to the harem. The harem within that narrative may have some internalized competition between the women for the attention of the man. So this, let's say, subtle or even overt competition with regards to gaining the attention of what they perceive is the point of focus is up for a new iteration, up for a new story. There's a new level of health and healing with regards to the mind. Mercury rules Virgo. A new level, up level. Hierarchy, extreme pyramid hierarchy is human made. It's not natural. It's not nature. Nature has hierarchies, but they're much more subtle, webbed, interconnected. There's no extreme hierarchy, okay? Not to the level at which humans have made it to be. So there's this imbalance with the structure, this organization which is completely human made. And it's formed out of a wounded mind. That I am lacking, so I need to be bigger than, higher than, I need to dominate. I need to burn down, forests, and I need to own lots of land and, hurt people, kill people, torture them. There's a new level of cruelty at play, and this is calling for the rebalancing of that health. Okay? Now, with regards to all these points, it's squaring Jupiter. Jupiter in Sagittarius. Of course, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So this particular square here is activating a couple of different things. One, this is, Sagittarius and Jupiter is about expanded experience. It's about our belief system, our paradigm of reality. It's about dogma as well. It's about our truth, how we connect with truth. It's also about natural law. But when we're looking at this square formation here, what this indicates is that indeed there are going to be, within the individual and on the collective level, extremity of dogma, extremity of truth, according to themselves, and this kind of moving forward and expansive quality, sharing information online, disseminating information to a broad audience. But the square formation is a friction activation with this new seeding. What wants to be birthed with new health will be met by some that have their foot rooted in dogma, toxic dogma. For others of you, for those of you listening to this square is beautiful because what it's going to activate is your inner teacher to come out. Okay? So this drive for a new level of health and discernment and practical action. Mars is here too. Practical action with regards to our ethos. Okay? Is squaring us as teachers. So there's a push to teach, to share, to communicate. All right. Now, there's also squares up here. So let's see here. Well, in this particular chart, we have these squares up to the M.Sc, which is the career point, of course. It's our public self and our aspirations and goals, but certainly it does indicate the point of career and public expression. It's in Gemini, again ruled by Mercury. So there's a push here in this particular chart. There's a push to come out via the career and communicate what needs to be communicated. Spiritually, by the way, because this particular stellium is in the 12th house. So spiritually, karmically, there's an alignment now to the teacher that wants to disseminate information and to the communicator through the work that you do, right? And of course, these oppositions I talked about. Again, the quincunx I didn't finish. The quincunx is this uncomfortable relationship to the insecurity the individual will feel in the face of such delusion. So there is insecurity, but you have to understand the other side of the coin with Chiron is the great healer teacher. This is you as the great healer and teacher. This uncomfortable relationship with what needs to be birthed anew is going to push some of you to step up and step out. In this particular chart, there's also a kite formation here. This Chiron is sextiling the career point, which is sextiling Varuna, the Hindu god. This is you feeling empowered. Varuna at 3 degrees, communication Leo, coming up and out, being on stage, creatively, in a confident way. Okay? So Chiron, trining Varuna, both of these sextiling the career point, coming back down here to the IC, the root of who you are, the truth of your inner belief system. Discernment is always a growth edge, everybody. Your truth is not necessarily the whole truth, but for those correctly aligned, Sagittarius and Jupiter speak to natural law, the organizing principles of living systems. So this is powerful. Okay, now that all being said, that's activated. It's activated for this moon today, this weekend, and for the next month, and for the next year, by the way. It's going to be a year until our next Virgo new moon. So this is actually laying a seed not only for this month ahead, but also for the year ahead. There's an iteration of narrative activated for the year ahead. So that all being said, we also have the nodal axis here, which we definitely want to talk about. Now, the north node of the moon is the arc of growth. It's at 16. The south node is at 16. This is a karmic point. This is a difficult point. 16 indicates there's a karmic narrative of transmutation of past patterns of structures, government structures, political structures, societal systems that are toxic. Transformation is at hand there, and new birth of those systems is being manifested. Might not be manifested yet, but it's happening. Okay? Transmutation, but the south node, which has been moving as it does, which is clockwise around the zodiac wheel, alongside this retrograded Saturn. I almost said Virgo, which is interesting, okay? Obviously, we have an earth sign here, we have an earth sign here. So this is, this is about kind of being the practical mind and also practical reality, physical matter, okay? So what I want to say with that is this south node, which has been going its direction, for the most part, it goes forward and backward, it goes retrograde and direct, but for the most part, it's going clockwise, and retrograded Saturn has been hugging it for the last many, many months, right? Throughout most of 2019. So this has been very intense. Why? Because Saturn can be, when it's unevolved, in its devolved iteration, Saturn is controlling and cruel, okay? And this south node indicates past patterns that must be evolved. So the cruelty and the control and the dominance of the narrative that's playing out with governments around the world, the dictatorships that are on the rise, the extremity of the left brain, which is on the rise, all of this is at hand here, right? But there's intensity because we have all been feeling it internally as well. This is happening collectively and individually. So all of you have been transforming an area of your own life, depending on your specific blueprint. This has been an intense ride. Now, with regards to this chart, now the nodal axis is at 16. So there's a karmic activation that's naturally happening now alongside this new moon in Virgo. New healthful beginnings with regards to toxic past patterns, karmic past patterns. And there's a karmic call to activate and to evolve the Cancerian narrative, the Cancerian humanitarian within each one of us. North Node, 11th house. Okay? This is the growth arc. This is the toxic patterns to be released. Now, it's complex. The nodal axis is not cut and dry like that. It's not just release all of this and go here. No. Both of them are two sides of the coin. Both of them matter, and both of them work with each other. South node also indicates that there are skill sets here to be salvaged and up-leveled. So the growth edge with this 16-degree south node in Capricorn, 5th house, indicates creative leadership. That's what needs to be salvaged. That's the power of the individual that needs to come forward. That's the manifest form that needs to come forward. Creative action. And the growth edge, everybody, is Cancer, 11th. Empathy, compassion, emotional connectedness, holistic seeing, clear intuitive wisdom, guiding action. The mother archetype, being a caregiver and a protector, that's the growth edge, but it's not just that. It's in the 11th house of the humanitarian. So this is about stepping up with empathetic humanitarian action. This is the narrative of this moon today, this weekend. This is the narrative of the month ahead, okay? Juicy stuff here. In addition to that, let's look up here quickly. Uranus, and there's a square up here from Varuna, your empowered, confident self as a humanitarian, squaring Uranus. Uranus is currently retrograde in Taurus. It's also at 6 degrees. It's trining this Sun-Moon conjunction at 6 degrees, Virgo. So this trine is quite good. It can indicate that there's physical changes happening, maybe even sudden material changes in your life happening, but you have to understand it is happening at with a benefic function to the new growth of health and wholeness and the work that you're doing that is happening. So the things that are transmutating that might seem confusing or confounding, financial things that might be happening that don't seem connected to the bigger narrative, trust me, they are. They always are. But certainly here, there's a clear indication that the movement that you take toward your own right action, to your own inner and outer alignment, to taking action to your ethos, to aligning your ethic to your work, to doing the work that you love, everybody. It is connected by trying to your genius, to you as a humanitarian, to the changes and shifts happening, to the chaos that's going on. Attend to the chaos that's going on. See it for what it is. Don't make a story. You don't need to project any story on it. Attend to it. What is it calling you into action to do? Well, do it. Okay? There's also a trine down here to the south node, Saturn, Pluto. This is powerful. This grand Earth trine is powerful. This is about new beginnings with regards to physical, practical reality, and indeed the Earth. The Earth is going through great change. The human mind, the psyche, is going through great change. The minds that are fixed and rigid in the narrative of power and control, stemming from wound and lack, you better believe that there's new beginnings at hand. It is transforming. That's why they're gripping. That's why the patriarchy is gripping desperately. Okay? Seemingly, they have all the control, but there's individuals that have creative action in their arsenal. That's what this is about, and it's about pulling this creative fifth house power, skill set, and manifestation capacity up into compassionate humanitarian action, period. Powerful time. Let's look at the month ahead. Now, there's a couple of things here. Firstly, I want to say that for my members, I have 2 live streams a month, the first and third Sunday of the month. The rest of the month, every week, there's a weekly video that I create, okay? So for those interested in becoming members, it's $11 a month, okay? And you can find the links below the video. So the live streams and the weekly potions that you see here, these are for my members. What you see in black is what we're going to be talking about. Also on Sundays this month, what I am going to be doing myself and what I call each of you to do is a global meditation wave in your time zone at 9:11 a.m. Sunday, the 1st of September at 9:11 a.m., your time. Sunday, the 8th of September, 9:11 your time. Sunday, the 15th of September, 9:11 your time. Sunday, the 22nd at 9:11, and Sunday, the 29th at 9:11 a.m. Join me for this. So this is a matter of being in meditation, in quiet and without distraction. This is about grounding yourself, allowing yourself to develop a cord of connection between your root chakra and the center of the planet. This is about sitting and feeling your power, true power, not ego power, but in the body system. Follow your breath. Follow the breath. In, out, slowly. Follow the breath. It keeps you embodied and in spirit, both. That powerful combination, you will use your consciousness, you'll use your imagination, you'll use your mind to envision light coming out from you. You can imagine light coming up and out through the core of the planet. You can imagine light descending upon the different areas on the planet that are calling for coolness, for water, for love, for understanding, for clarity. For clarity, for the insane mind to be rebalanced. Okay? For the infected, toxic mind, for the virused mind to be healed. You know, nothing kills a host other than a virus. For the human beings destructing the planet now, they are infected. They're not clear. They're toxified. They're certainly imbalanced, and they're not in their natural healthy function. So every single Sunday at 9/11, everyone join me to envision light, to feel your power as a intrinsic healer, the healer that you know that you are. So this is what's happening, okay? And if you wish to do the global meditation and then join me at 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Sunday, terrific. That would be delightful, okay? Now, with regards to the month ahead, here on Friday, we have the Moon and Jupiter together in the evening. This is Friday the 6th. So I want to point out that, of course, our new moon is happening at 6 degrees. The sun moon is conjunct at 6 degrees Virgo, right? This is quite beautiful, is it not? The moon reflects the feminine. The moon is symbolic of mother. The moon is symbolic of the feminine. The moon is symbolic of our emotions. The moon is symbolic of our intuitive, natural wisdom. Moon and Jupiter together. Jupiter, expansive, teaching, experiential, the embodiment, the assimilation of wisdom. Look at this happening on the 6th, everybody. And again, 6 is representational of spirit and matter coming together in harmonic connection. Okay? Moon and Jupiter together in the evening. How delightful. Okay? And by the way, this is a week from today. I'm recording this on August 30th, and here we are. This is delicious. You know, a week from today on the 6th, Moon and Jupiter. Okay? Now, with regards to the 8th, I put this here on the 9th because I couldn't fit it here on the 8th. But if you look, also on the 8th, so we're going to have our global wave, we're going to have our potion video for my members, and we have the Moon and Saturn together in the evening on the 8th. Okay? Now, Moon and Saturn, could it be that there's going to be some sort of maturity? Because the higher iteration of Saturn, everybody, is becoming the wise one, becoming the self-accountable, self-responsible, mature, evolved, disciplined, self-disciplined leader. That's what Saturn looks like when it's evolved. Okay? So Moon and Saturn together in the evening on the 8th, Sunday. Is it indeed that people are rising, trusting their intuitive wisdom, trusting their emotional guidance system, as opposed to believing what people say that they are seeing and hearing is the truth? This is about knowing your own truth. Saturn Moon. Now, Saturn Moon can also be quite oppressive. For those that are imbalanced, for those that are living a toxic narrative, living from a space of wound, according to their own distinct blueprint, that haven't healed it yet, this can look quite depressive and oppressive. Okay? So this is a matter of stepping up and becoming wise and disciplined with regards to your emotional responses, your emotional feelings with regards to things, etc. If we go over here to Friday the 13th, Mercury will be at 29 degrees Virgo. Mercury will be at 29 degrees Virgo on Friday the 13th. Now, the reason why I put this in, everybody, is that Mercury rules Virgo, and 29 degree of any sign is a critical degree point. There's a pressure there. And because there is so much Virgo energy happening this month with all of the planetary functions, I wanted to point this out. Mercury at 29 can look like extreme mind, extreme response, extreme communications. Does that make sense? So be mindful of this date. Own your own mind, own your own thoughts, own your own perceptions. Let other people have theirs. You own your own. You own your own responses. And you're mature and mindful about how you communicate and respond and even think. Okay? Because responsibility and ownership of your own perception mechanism is the key to global healing. Period. Okay? So, as this happens on Friday the 13th, on the 14th, which is here, the 14th is going to have Mercury and Venus entering Libra. So here on Saturday the 14th, Mercury and Venus will enter Libra. Now, this is going to be quite beautiful. Naturally, there'll be an energetic change of mind that will now move to being Venus ruled, right? Venus rules Libra. So Venus will be ruling the mind starting mid-month September. And Venus will be in its home sign of Libra at that point. So there's going to be more of a energy and a focus of the mind, of relationships, cooperative action, seeking harmony between individuals, seeking harmony between yourself and others. So that's going to be a natural focus at this time. There could be more creative juice coming forward as well. Creative collaborations with people could happen during this month or during the end of this month. Now, a couple of things. 2020, the 2020 session. Now, for those of you interested in understanding what's happening for your 2020 process, 2020 will see two huge things happening for us. It will see a conjunction of Saturn and Pluto on the 12th of January. And then it will see a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn happening at 0 degrees Aquarius on the winter solstice. For those of you interested in understanding what activations, how this will impact your particular narrative, I have three, as of recording this, I have 3 spaces left in the September 14th monthly 2020 sessions. So for September, I'm having this session date. October will have one, November will have one, December will have one. For those interested, you can find out more at my website. So I'll put a link for you down below. Now, the 14th, beautifully, is also our full harvest moon. And the full moon in Pisces will happen at 21 degrees 5 minutes Pisces. Okay, let's look at the time for that. Let me take a look here. Let's pull up a time for you. So for the 14th, it's happening, everybody, just after midnight Eastern time. So it's happening at 12:32 a.m. Eastern time on the 14th. So essentially between the 13th and the 14th, right? Fresh into the morning, okay? So deep in the night, we're going to have that full harvest moon at 21 degrees Pisces. All right. So a full moon in Pisces, I'll have more information to come about that where we'll dive a little bit deeper with that particular chart. In the next week, this is an important date, everybody. We have Saturn stationing direct. This is after multiple months going retrograde and again, following the path of the South Node. Indeed, at this time frame, come the 18th of September, when Saturn stations direct at 13 degrees 54 minutes Capricorn, it will start to peel away from the South Node's location. Now, the South Node at this point of stationing direct for Saturn will be at 14 degrees. Come the end of October, we'll have a full 5-degree orb between Saturn and the South Node. I have to tell you, I sense that from this point forward, we're going to feel more and more of an ease of intense energy when it comes to the aggressive patriarchy that's run amok. Okay, so we're still experiencing it, but it's going to ease. This process of the last many months with Saturn South Node direct, with Saturn going retrograde and the moving along the path of the South Node moving direct, it's been a time frame for us to see clearly the extremity, the toxicity, the cruelty, and the imbalance. That's what this time frame has been about. Now we're going to start to take individual action. Moving forward, Saturn is moving forward in Capricorn. So what is it that you have in Capricorn in your natal blueprint? And what house is this activating for you? In that area, there's going to be potential for those of you willing and ready. You are going to be willing to step into your wiser self, your more mature self, your more accountable self, your more discerning self. You as stepping up with accountability and responsibility to be the leader that you're meant to be here without ego. This is about leading for the sake of accomplishing goals. And how the whole system operates is it needs to have an impact for the benefit of the whole. Okay? So, and I have to tell you, as I'm recording this right now, rain just started to fall outside. So rain is falling. Could it be that emotions start to break open, things that have been bound within? Saturn is dry. Saturn is cold. Saturn is emotionless. It's not focused on the emotional body. It's focused on externalized manifest form. That's what Saturn wants. That's what it seeks. That's the narrative. That's the archetype. So it wants to achieve. It wants to manifest goals. Okay? Now, with Saturn moving direct here, now with the rain falling as I'm recording this, could it be that indeed people that have been self-contained emotionally, Saturnian ruled emotionally, could it be that stuff starts to flow, starts to move? Could it be that grief starts to flow, starts to be activated, honored? There's a lot of grief, people, for all of you listening, there's a lot of grief that people are holding that have never sourced, never accessed, never released. That is highly toxic to the body system. Okay? So with that all being said, everybody, beautiful flow happening. All right? Now, with regards to the rest of the month, we have the new moon happening on the 28th of September. New moon at 5 degrees, 20 minutes Libra. So a new seeding point then. So I'll have another video to come at that point where we talk about the next month ahead, which will be October, okay? So I hope that this was helpful for you. I will have, in fact, I'm filming now, alchemy scopes per sign for the month ahead. I invite you all to look into the membership to see if that serves you. I invite you all to participate in your own personal global wave of meditation at 9:11 a.m. throughout each of these Sundays throughout September. I invite you all to feel into the accuracy and the correctness of joining me for the 2020 session. This will be on Zoom, live streamed, live analyses of your blueprint, your natal blueprint. I need your birth time as it relates to what's activated for you in the year ahead. Okay? So much love, everybody. Until the next video, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.